Picture this for a second. You are talking, laughing, maybe pretending to stay calm, and then it happens. He leans in a little closer. His hand brushes yours. His palm lands lightly at your back. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, but suddenly your whole body notices. And now your mind starts racing. Was that just friendly? Was it accidental? Or was that his quiet way of saying, I'm drawn to you? That is exactly what we are getting into today. Because attraction rarely starts with a speech. It starts with energy. It starts with presence. It starts with the small touches that feel simple on the outside but carry real meaning underneath. And once you learn to spot them, everything changes. You stop guessing so much. You stop replaying every moment in your head. You start reading what is right in front of you. So stay with me, because some of these signs are subtle, some are intense, and one of them especially can tell you more than a full hour of talking ever could. And yes, the last few details matter more than most people realize, so do not click away. When a man feels deeply attracted to you, not just curious, not just passing time, but truly pulled in, his body often reveals it before his mouth ever does. One of the clearest signs is the way he touches your lower back. This move is quiet, but it is rarely random. The lower back is personal. It is close. It is a place that creates instant awareness without being loud about it. He might place his hand there while guiding you through a busy room. He might do it when he lets you walk through a doorway first. He might rest his hand there for one calm second while standing beside you in a crowded place. And no, he does not have to do that. He could simply point. He could step aside. He could use words. But when he chooses that gentle contact, it often means he wants nearness, and he wants you to feel that nearness too. What makes this touch powerful is that it can feel respectful and intimate at the same time. It says, come this way, but it also says, I like being close to you. There is warmth in it. There is quiet confidence in it. A man who feels nothing usually does not go there. A man who is simply being formal stays more neutral. But when he is drawn in, that hand on your lower back can become a small but clear sign that he feels the chemistry and wants to stay in it. And the interesting part is this. Your body usually catches it before your mind does. You feel that tiny rush. You notice that little spark. Pay attention to that. It matters. Now let's move to something that seems much lighter, almost too small to mean anything, and yet it often means a lot. I am talking about the arm and the shoulder. This is one of the most common ways attraction shows up early, because it feels safe, natural, and easy to repeat. He laughs and taps your arm. He makes a point and lightly touches your shoulder. He passes behind you and lets his hand graze your arm for just a second longer than necessary. On the surface, these moments can look casual. That is why people dismiss them. But when they happen again and again, especially with timing, intention, and a certain softness, they start telling a different story. Men who are interested often look for acceptable ways to close the physical gap without doing too much too fast. The arm and shoulder become the perfect bridge. They are public enough to feel normal, yet personal enough to create a little current between two people. And that current is the whole point. He is testing the space. He is seeing how it feels to connect physically without pushing. Watch for the pattern. Does he find reasons to touch you but not everybody else? Does his hand stay for one extra beat when you are laughing? Does the playful bump turn into a warmer, more lingering contact over time? That evolution matters. It shows comfort growing. It shows interest building. And here's the thing a lot of people miss. Attraction is often repetitive before it becomes bold. It starts with these tiny touches because they let him say, I like being in your space, before he has the courage to say anything more direct. That is why these moments can be so revealing. Small does not mean meaningless. Sometimes small is where the truth begins. Then there are the hands, and this is where things often become more emotional. Touching your hand is not usually practical. It is chosen. That is what makes it stand out. A man can talk to you, laugh with you, even flirt with you, and still never reach for your hand. So when he does, it tends to carry more feeling. Maybe he offers his hand as you step down. Maybe your fingers meet and he does not rush to pull away. Maybe he squeezes your hand during a joke, holds it while crossing the street, or reaches for it in the middle of a quiet moment when no one told him to. That kind of contact can say, I want more than playful energy. I want connection. Hands are expressive. They hold tension, comfort, excitement, nervousness. So when he touches your hand, he is not just making contact, he is entering a shared space. And shared touch creates intimacy fast. That is why hand-holding feels different from almost every other gesture. It is mutual. It is balanced. It is two people agreeing, even for a second, to stay connected. If he traces your fingers, lets his thumb move softly over your hand, or seems almost reluctant to let go, those details matter. They show presence. They show tenderness. They often show vulnerability too, because reaching for someone's hand is one of the clearest, quiet ways to say, I feel close to you. Even in playful moments like dancing, spinning you around, or pulling you gently into motion, he is still choosing your hand as his point of connection. That choice says a lot. And if you ever notice that time seems to slow down in those moments, that is not your imagination. Real attraction often feels like that. A simple touch, but suddenly everything is louder inside. If you really want to know when attraction shifts from light interest into something more tender, watch what happens around your face and your hair. These touches are usually not casual. They are more personal, more delicate, more revealing. A man does not often reach toward a woman's face unless he feels a real pull and some level of emotional safety. He brushes something from your cheek. He moves a strand of hair behind your ear. He touches your jaw softly during a close moment. These gestures carry a different energy from a tap on the arm or a hand at the back. They are slower, softer, more focused. The face is where emotion lives. It is where we look when we want to feel seen. So when he reaches there gently, it can mean he is not just enjoying your company, he is captivated by you in that moment. The same goes for your hair. Hair can seem simple, but it feels personal. When he touches it with care, smooths it back, notices it, or lightly runs his fingers through it in a calm, natural moment, he is often showing affection in a way words cannot fully match. And the key word here is care, not force, not performance. Care. The right touch in these moments feels attentive, almost protective, almost like he is trying to stay present with you instead of impressing you. Maybe you are both talking about something real. Maybe you are laughing and the room goes soft for a second. Maybe he just looks at you and reacts without thinking. Those moments tend to be honest. That is why they stay in your memory. You remember not only the touch itself, but the feeling under it. You remember how gentle it was, how direct it felt, how it seemed to say, I see you, without needing a bigger speech around it. Now let's talk about one of the more intense signs, because this is where context becomes everything. I mean the knee or the thigh, especially while sitting close together, this touch is bolder. It sits closer to desire. But when it happens with respect, good timing, and real emotional awareness, it can reveal a strong level of attraction. Maybe you are on a couch. Maybe you are side by side at dinner. Maybe you are deep in conversation and his hand rests lightly on your knee for a moment. Maybe his leg stays gently against yours instead of moving away. These things can be very telling because they happen in a more private zone of the body. He does not usually go there by accident. He goes there because he feels closeness and wants to deepen it. But this is where tone matters more than ever. A respectful man does not rush this. He does not throw it into the moment carelessly. He feels the pace. He reads your comfort. He moves with awareness. That is exactly why this gesture can reveal so much. If it is thoughtful, calm, and matched to the emotional energy between you, it often means he is trying to create a stronger bond, not just act on impulse. A hand on the knee during a quiet laugh can say, I feel close to you. A brief touch on the thigh during an intimate conversation can say, this moment matters to me. And yes, your intuition usually knows the difference between respectful attraction and empty boldness. One feels warm, the other feels off. Trust that response. Always, the most meaningful version of this touch never feels like pressure. It feels like shared tension, shared awareness, shared closeness. That is why it can leave such a mark. Nothing huge happens, yet the whole moment changes. And if you have ever felt your heart beat faster from something this small, then you already know how much quiet gestures can carry. There is another sign many people overlook because it seems too simple. It is the lingering touch, not where he touches you this time, but how long he stays there and how slowly he lets go. This can happen with your hand, your shoulder, your arm, your waist, even the smallest brush of fingers. Attraction often lives in the pause. A man who feels drawn to you may not only touch you, he may delay the ending of that touch. His hand lingers for a second too long, his fingers trail away instead of pulling back quickly. He touches you once, then again, as if his body is still trying to stay connected after the moment has technically passed. That extra beat matters because it usually reflects desire mixed with hesitation, interest mixed with restraint. He wants the closeness, but he's still managing himself. And that combination can be incredibly revealing. Think about how different it feels when someone touches you only out of habit versus when the contact seems charged with attention. In one case, it passes and disappears. In the other, it hangs in the air. You feel it after it ends. That is the difference. Sometimes he will laugh and keep his hand on your arm a little longer. Sometimes he will guide you and be slow to move away. Sometimes your fingers will meet and he will hold that contact just enough to make you wonder. That wondering is part of the chemistry. This is why you should not only notice whether he touches you, but the quality of the touch. Is it rushed, distracted, generic, or is it warm, grounded, and a little reluctant to end? Attraction often shows up in that reluctance. He may not say, "I want to stay close to you," but his pacing says it for him. And those are the little moments that can reveal a great deal if you know how to read them. At the same time, the smartest way to read all of this is never to isolate one touch and turn it into a fantasy. One sign alone can be misleading. The real truth is in the pattern. Does he look for chances to be near you? Does his attention sharpen when you speak? Does he touch you in ways that feel consistent, gentle, and centered on connection rather than show? Does his eye contact match the touch? Does his energy feel more focused around you than around other people? That full picture matters more than any single move. Because attraction is rarely just one gesture. It is usually a cluster of signals working together. He leans in. He remembers tiny details. He mirrors your pace. He finds little reasons to make contact. He smiles before he even realizes he is doing it. He acts more present around you. He seems to enter your world when you talk. And when touch enters that pattern, it gains meaning. This is important because sometimes people overread physical contact while ignoring the emotional layer around it. But the emotional layer is what makes the difference between habit, flirting, affection, and genuine attraction. So if you really want clarity, look at the whole rhythm. How does he show up around you over time? Does his body language soften? Do the touches become more natural and more specific? Does he seem careful with your comfort while still wanting closeness? Those are strong signs. And if you are still unsure, do not panic. Slow down and observe. Attraction that is real usually becomes clearer, not more confusing as time goes on. That is your retention reminder right there. Do not judge too fast. But do not ignore repeated signs either, because repeated signs are where uncertainty starts turning into something you can actually trust. Something else worth saying here is that the most attractive kind of touch is never just about desire. It also carries respect. That is why two people can experience the exact same gesture very differently, depending on the energy behind it. A hand on the back can feel comforting or controlling. A touch on the knee can feel intimate or invasive. A brush of the face can feel magical or unwelcome. The difference is not only the action. It is the awareness inside the action. Is he tuned into you? Is he noticing how you respond? Is he moving with care, not entitlement? A man who is genuinely attracted and emotionally present usually wants the connection to feel good for both of you. He pays attention. He slows down. He does not just take space. He listens to the moment. And that is where the most powerful chemistry lives. Not in force, not in performance, in sensitivity, in timing, in the ability to say so much through a gesture that is quiet, simple, and real. If you feel yourself relax around his touch, if it feels warm instead of heavy, if it feels like an invitation rather than a push, that tells you something important. Real attraction does not have to bulldoze its way in. Often it is more elegant than that. It is confident enough to be subtle. So while these signs can reveal that a man is into you, the deeper question is not only does he want closeness, it is also what kind of closeness is he creating? That question protects your heart. and it keeps you from chasing intensity that has no care behind it. Stay with that idea, because this is where everything gets more useful. It is not enough to know that someone wants you near. You also want to know whether being near him actually feels safe, exciting, and emotionally clean. Now, if you notice these touches and the attraction feels mutual, your response matters too. You do not need a dramatic reaction. You do not need to perform. Sometimes the strongest response is very simple. Hold eye contact a little longer. Smile. Let your hand stay there for a moment if it feels right. Lean in slightly. Touch his arm back during a laugh. Match the energy instead of forcing a bigger move. Attraction grows best when it breathes, when both people allow it to unfold instead of trying to control every second. If he touches your hand and you feel that spark, you can return that softness. If his hand lands at your back and it feels good, let your body relax instead of freezing. If he brushes your hair away and the moment feels genuine, your face will usually say everything before words do. And if something does not feel right, you are allowed to step back without guilt. That is part of confidence too. Being open when it feels good, being clear when it does not. The goal is not to decode touch so you can please someone. The goal is to understand what the moment is saying and choose your response from a place of self-trust. That is powerful. That is attractive. And that is what makes all of this more than just dating theory. It becomes practical. It helps you stop overthinking and start feeling your way through interactions with more clarity. Quick reminder before we go deeper, chemistry is not only about being chosen, it is also about what you choose. So when these moments happen, ask yourself not only what he feels, but what you feel. Are you excited, calm, curious, tense, drawn in? Those answers matter just as much as any signal he gives. And let's be honest, sometimes the biggest confusion comes from mixed signals. Maybe he touches you, but he is inconsistent. Maybe he gets close, then goes distant. Maybe the chemistry is strong in person, but weak everywhere else. That is why touch should never be the only thing you trust. It should be part of the story, not the whole story. A man can be physically expressive and still not be emotionally serious. On the other hand, a man can be more reserved with touch and still care deeply. So the key is alignment. Do his touches line up with his attention, effort, and consistency? Does he follow closeness with care? Does he make you feel valued outside the physical moments too? If yes, then those touches likely carry more weight. If not, slow down. Enjoy the spark if you want, but do not build a whole future out of one electric evening. Attraction is exciting, but discernment keeps it healthy. And here is where a lot of people level up. They stop asking, how do I make him like me? And start asking, is what he gives actually enough for me? That shift changes everything. Because once you know how to read touch, you also learn how to read intention, effort, and emotional honesty. Then you are not just reacting. You are choosing with awareness. And that is the point of this conversation. Not to turn every gesture into a clue board, but to help you trust what you already sense. You know when a touch feels warm, sincere, and connected. You also know when it feels empty. Give yourself credit for that. Your instincts are often smarter than your overthinking. And yes, if you have ever ignored your instincts before, this is your sign to stop doing that. So in the end, the way a man touches you can reveal a great deal about how he feels. A hand on your lower back can show quiet closeness. A brush on your arm or shoulder can be his safe first step into your space. Holding your hand can reveal tenderness and real emotional pull. Touching your face or hair can show softness, focus, and a deeper kind of affection. A careful touch on your knee or thigh can signal stronger chemistry when the moment and the respect are both there. And the lingering touch, the one that ends slowly, can be the detail that says what words still have not said yet. But the real magic is not only in reading him, it is in staying connected to yourself while you do it. Notice the pattern. Notice the energy. Notice whether his touch feels matched by care, timing, and emotional presence. That is how you stop guessing and start seeing clearly. And if you have been in one of these moments before, you know exactly what I mean. Sometimes one small gesture says more than a whole conversation. Sometimes a quiet touch changes the air between two people. Sometimes the truth is right there in the pause, in the softness, in the way neither of you wants the moment to end. If that has ever happened to you, then you already understand this language better than you think. And if it happens the next time, you will be ready for it. You will notice it, you will feel it, and most importantly, you will trust yourself enough to know what it means for you